Inner Guide, Morning Grace, a journey to begin the day with the Buddha's blessings. Before anything else, before the coffee brews, before the alarms buzz, before you look at your phone, there's a moment, a sacred, fleeting, quiet moment where you open your eyes and you realize you're alive. Your breath has returned for another day. Your heart beating softly in the silence, your limbs resting, then waking. You're here, still here, on this earth, in this body, with this breath. And dear one, that matters more than anything. Not everyone got that moment today. Some didn't wake up. Some opened their eyes only to face pain or loss or loneliness that made the daylight feel heavy. But you, yes, you are alive. And that's not small. That's not ordinary. That's a gift. We forget that, don't we? How precious the morning is. We rush it, we scroll through it, we stumble into it, half awake. But the Buddha taught us something different. He taught us, if you begin your morning with a pure heart, the rest of your day will unfold in peace. That's why this part of the journey is sacred, because how you meet your morning is how you'll meet your life. Let me tell you the story of Thalini. She was a young mother, a school teacher, always running from home to work, from errands to responsibilities. Every morning, she woke up already tired. She'd check her messages before even brushing her teeth, scroll through news, chase the clock, snap at her kids, rush into the chaos, and every night she collapsed in bed wondering, why am I so drained? One day, after her youngest child asked, "Mom, why do you look angry when the sun comes up?" something broke inside her. That night, she didn't just set an alarm, she set an intention. The next morning, she woke up 20 minutes early, and she just sat in silence, listened to the birds, felt her breath, whispered gently, "Thank you, I'm still here." And for the first time in years, she didn't feel behind. She felt blessed. The Buddha said, when you wake in the morning, consider, what good can I do today? Not for achievements, not for praise, but simply to honor this life. And there's one thing you can always do, be grateful. The moment you wake, whisper gratitude, even if your back hurts, even if your heart is heavy, even if your mind is clouded, because gratitude isn't about perfect conditions. It's about recognizing sacred existence. You're here, you're breathing, you're alive, and that is reason enough to begin your day in reverence. Think of those who helped you reach this morning. Your mother, who carried you before you even had a name. Your father, who worked quietly behind the scenes. Your teachers, who gave you light through words. Your friends, who held your hand when the world broke. Your enemies, who unknowingly taught you patience, endurance, and strength. In the morning, call them to mind and say in your heart, may they be well, may they be happy, may they be free. It takes only a moment, but that moment changes everything. Because when you begin your day with gratitude, resentment has no space, anger melts, pettiness fades, and love blossoms like a lotus in the morning sun. Let me share the story of Mr. Gunapala, a retired school principal in a small village. He had a simple ritual. Every morning at 4:45 a.m., he would light a single candle before the Buddha statue in his home. He'd bow 3 times, not out of habit, but out of devotion, and he would whisper the names of everyone he remembered, living or dead, old students, former rivals, neighbors, even those who had hurt him. "Why do you pray for them all?" someone once asked. He smiled gently, "Because if I carry anger into the morning, I carry poison into the day." And truly, that's what the Buddha meant when he said, hatred never ends through hatred, only through love. So if there's someone you're holding bitterness toward, someone who wronged you, someone you swore you'd never forgive, try this, just for today. As the morning light kisses your skin, say their name in your heart and offer them peace. You're not excusing what they did. You're not pretending it didn't hurt. You're simply choosing not to suffer twice. Forgiveness isn't for them, it's for you. So you can start the day free, unburdened, at peace. The Buddha also taught that if we want to begin our day with true meaning, we must begin with loving kindness. That means wishing well for all beings, not just those we love, but even the ones we'll never meet. The ant on your windowsill, the bird crying for its chicks, the stranger in a hospital bed halfway across the world, the addict under a bridge, the rich man drowning in his own loneliness, the widow lighting incense for a husband who won't return. They all want one thing, to be happy. And you in your morning stillness can offer them that wish. May all beings be well, may all beings be free, May all beings find peace. And you know what happens when you say that? Your own heart begins to heal. Each morning is a doorway. You either walk into it blindly or step through it mindfully. You either carry yesterday's dust or you wash your soul clean in the silence. You either repeat the same tired patterns or you begin again. You don't need incense. You don't need robes. You just need presence, gratitude, forgiveness, and love. That's your morning practice. That's your sacred offering. That's the difference between a life of noise and a life of meaning. So tomorrow morning, before the world invades, before your thoughts race, before the burdens knock on your door, pause, place your hand over your heart, and whisper gently, "Thank you, I'm alive. May I live this day in love." Because no one knows how many more mornings we'll get. But this one, this sacred, beautiful, silent morning, it's yours. Hold it gently and let it guide your day with grace, with clarity, and with joy. Gratitude is more than saying thank you. It is remembrance. It is reverence. It is the invisible thread that connects your heartbeat to the hearts of those who helped you stand. In every life, there are people who shape us, not always in obvious ways, sometimes with words, sometimes with silence, sometimes with presence, sometimes with absence, but they're there. The ones who held your hand when you didn't know who you were. The ones who whispered truth when the world told you lies. The ones who lifted you when even you had forgotten how to stand. This morning, let us pause and remember them, not as saints, not as perfect, but as human beings who gave you something that helped you live. And whether they're still breathing or long gone, you can still offer them the deepest gift of all, gratitude, not just as a feeling, but as a prayer, a wish, a blessing carried from your heart to theirs. Because in the words of the Buddha, he who repays his parents repays the world. Let me tell you the story of Ruwan. He was a successful engineer, a man of numbers, logic, structure. He built bridges, skyscrapers, cities, but he had not spoken to his father in over 10 years. Not since that fight, that one moment of pride that turned into a decade of silence. One morning, Ruwan visited a temple by chance while traveling for work. There, an elderly monk spoke about the rarest of all virtues, to be grateful for your roots, even when the branches have grown far. Something stirred in him. He left the temple, drove 7 hours, knocked on a faded blue door. His father, now frail, opened it, trembling. No words were needed. They simply embraced. And in that moment, Ruwan felt more accomplished than in all the buildings he had ever built, because he rebuilt something greater, a bond. Gratitude is a bridge. Even over years of silence, even over oceans of regret. Who raised you? Who taught you? Who forgave you when you didn't deserve it? In the stillness of your morning, whisper their names. And if they're still alive, tell them, not because they need to hear it, but because you need to say it. Because the words thank you can be a kind of healing, a balm for old wounds, a prayer for the living, an offering to the dead. Let me share a story about Sister Maya, a Buddhist nun in her 60s. She once told her students, "I never had a mother. Not really. But I still offer gratitude to the one who birthed me, because even her absence taught me strength." Gratitude isn't only for what was perfect, it's for what shaped you, what tested you, what broke you open enough to grow. Even the hard teachers deserve a silent bow, because they showed you who you don't want to become. And that, too, is a gift. Narrator's tone softens further, barely above a whisper, as though inside your heart. There's a meditation the Buddha taught to recall the goodness of those who've helped you, to let it rise like incense from your chest. Try it now. Close your eyes, picture your parents, whether you know them or not, whether they were kind or cold. Say in your heart, "May you be well, may you be happy, may you be free." Next, picture your teachers, your mentors, your friends, those who believed in you, even when you didn't. Whisper again, "May you be well, may you be happy, may you be free." Now picture someone who hurt you, someone whose presence brought pain. Don't rush, let the image settle and say gently, perhaps through tears, "May you be well, may you be happy, may you be free." This is not forgetting, this is freeing. And that, dear one, is love. The Supreme Buddha said, "The one who recognizes the help of others is rare, and that rare person shines like the moon through clouds." Be that rare one. Not the one who counts grievances, but the one who remembers grace. Be the one who, in the quiet morning light, bows not only to statues, but to all who helped build your path. Let me tell you of Grandmother Chandra, a woman who lived in a dusty village beneath the hills. Every morning before sunrise, she would place flowers not just at the Buddha statue, but on 3 stones outside her hut. One for her mother, one for her father, and one for the teacher who taught her to read. Someone once asked why she offered to stones. She smiled. They are not stones, they are memory, and memory must be fed with gratitude. What beautiful truth. Because when we forget those who helped us, we forget ourselves. So when you rise tomorrow, don't just stretch your limbs, stretch your heart. Stretch it far enough to hold the names of those who shaped your life and say, even in silence, because of you, I am. Let your gratitude not be a ceremony, but a daily breath, a thread in your life's robe, a candle in the dawn. Because the greatest offering we can give is not incense, not gold, not flowers, but a heart that remembers, closing words rich with emotion, full of presence. Let this morning not just begin your day, but remind you of every other day behind it, and the souls who walked with you, your mother's worry, your father's sacrifice, your teacher's patience, your friend's laughter, your stranger's kindness, your enemy's lesson. It all brought you here, to this breath, this body, this beautiful, fleeting, sacred morning. And now, what will you do with it? Will you rush? Or will you rise with reverence? The choice, dear heart, is yours. But remember, gratitude is a door, and the Buddha's light is waiting on the other side. Forgiveness. It's one of the most misunderstood words in our language. We think it means forgetting, or pretending something didn't happen, or saying it's okay when it clearly wasn't. But forgiveness, true forgiveness, is none of those things. It's not weakness. It's not denial. It's not a gift to your enemy. It's freedom for yourself. Every morning you wake up, you are given a choice. A beautiful, silent, sacred choice. You can carry yesterday's anger, or you can lay it down. You can drag the weight of betrayal into your fresh day, or you can breathe it out, like smoke from your lungs. You can relive the hurt again and again, or you can say, it happened, it hurt, but I will not let it rule today. That is forgiveness. Not for them. For you. Let me tell you the story of Anjali, a woman in her 40s who spent over a decade filled with quiet bitterness. Her brother had betrayed her, taken the family land, manipulated documents after their parents' passing. They hadn't spoken in 12 years. Every morning she would wake with tightness in her chest. Even on peaceful days, his name would enter her mind like poison. One day, during a temple retreat, she met an elderly monk. He said something she never forgot. Forgiveness is not saying the past was fine. It's saying you are no longer willing to suffer because of it. That evening, she didn't call him. She didn't write him. She simply sat under a tree, closed her eyes, and whispered, "May he be well. May he be happy. May I be free." Tears streamed down her face. The next morning, for the first time in years, she woke up light. The ache in her chest was gone, not because the story changed, but because she had. Forgiveness is not a moment. It's a practice, like brushing your teeth, like breathing, like morning prayers. Every day, we must cleanse the heart from yesterday's residue, because anger is sticky. It clings to your ribs. It changes your voice. It hardens your eyes. It poisons your thoughts. But love, true love, begins with letting go. And you cannot love this day, this life, this moment, while still clutching the sword of yesterday's wounds. Let me tell you about Kusuma, a teacher who lost her husband in an accident caused by a drunk driver. For years, she couldn't even say the man's name. She stopped attending temple, stopped smiling, stopped living. But one morning, her daughter, only 7 years old, asked, "Amma, will we ever laugh again?" That broke something in her. She went back to the temple, she lit a lamp, and she cried for hours. And then, slowly, through clenched teeth, she whispered, "I forgive, not because he deserves peace, but because my daughter does." That was the day she returned to life. The Buddha taught, holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone. You are the one who gets burned. You don't need to forgive everything today, but you can begin. You can wake up, sit up in bed, place your hand on your chest, and say, "Who am I still angry with?" Listen gently. Don't judge your answer. Just sit with it. And then try something radical. Try saying, "May they be well. May I be free." You don't need to believe it. You just need to begin. Because forgiveness is not a destination, it's a path. Let me share a quiet story of Ven Metananda, a monk known for his serene presence. He had been a soldier once, before he shaved his head, before the saffron robe, before the silence. He had taken life, caused pain, and for years, even as a monk, he carried shame like a second skin. But one morning, during walking meditation, he stopped beneath a banyan tree and wept. He knelt to the ground, touched the earth, and said, "May those I harmed forgive me. May those I failed find peace. May I forgive myself." And in that moment, birds flew overhead, the wind rose, and he knew forgiveness had begun. Even self-forgiveness, especially self-forgiveness. Because sometimes, dear one, the hardest person to forgive is yourself. You said the wrong thing, you hurt someone, you left, you stayed too long, you gave up too early, you ignored the signs, you let them down, you let yourself down. But this morning, look in the mirror, into your own eyes, and say, "You tried, you hurt, you learned, and I forgive you." Forgiveness is not a sign that what happened was okay. It's a sign that you are okay. It doesn't erase the past. It erases the hold the past has on you. And in that freedom, you can live again. You can breathe again. You can love again. You can wake up in the morning without heaviness, without dread, without dragging the ghosts of pain into the sunrise. The Buddha did not tell us to forget. He told us to be free. He did not say forgive and pretend. He said forgive and be awake. Awake to this breath, this life, this day. Because in truth, no one else deserves your peace more than you do, and when you sunlight through clouds. So tomorrow morning, when your eyes flutter open, ask yourself, what can I lay down today? Who can I release from the prison of my heart? What story am I ready to stop repeating? And when you find the answer, don't wait. Whisper it into the morning air. Let the wind carry it. Let the sun shine on it. Let it go and rise with a lighter heart and a freer soul. Because forgiveness is not the end. It is the beginning of a new day, of a new self, of a new life. There is a light inside you. It's not the light of ambition, not the fire of desire, not the spark of excitement. It's something quieter, gentler, older than the stars. It is the light of loving kindness. In Pali, it's called metta. It's the wish for others to be happy, no matter who they are, no matter what they've done, no matter whether you know them or not. It's the most beautiful thing you can offer the world and the most healing thing you can offer yourself. Each morning, before the world takes your energy, before news, traffic, noise, and obligations, you have a chance to shine, to fill your chest with that quiet golden light and send it outward to your family, to your neighbors, to the people you love, to the ones you don't, to animals in pain, to strangers in cities you'll never visit, to all beings everywhere. The Buddha said, just as a mother would protect her only child with her life, even so, let one cultivate boundless love toward all beings. Boundless love. No walls, no exceptions, no borders. Let me share the story of Nimal, a teenage boy who had lost his mother in a tragic fire. He stopped speaking after that day. His father tried therapy, medication, travel. Nothing helped. One morning, while staying at a monastery, a monk sat beside him and handed him a small folded paper. On it was written, "May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be at peace. Start with yourself." Something in those words opened a window in his heart. The monk taught him metta meditation. Every morning before sunrise, he would close his eyes and imagine light flowing from his chest, first to himself, then to his mother, then to his father, then to everyone who had ever touched his life, even the ones who hurt him. After a week, he spoke, not because someone fixed him, but because love had returned. That's the power of loving kindness. You might ask, how can I love people who are cruel? How can I wish peace for those who harm others? The Buddha never asked us to agree with everyone. He never asked us to excuse wrong actions. He only showed us that hate never ends hate. Only love can do that. Loving kindness is not softness, it's strength. It's choosing to keep your heart open, even in a world that tries to close it. Each morning when you wake, try this. Close your eyes. Bring your attention to your heart. Feel it beat. Feel the warmth inside your chest. Then say silently, "May I be well. May I be peaceful. May I be free." Let that light fill you, like warm tea in a cold cup. Then think of someone you love. Picture their face. Say, "May you be well. May you be peaceful. May you be free." Then someone neutral, the shopkeeper, the bus driver, a stranger on the street. And say it again. May you be well, may you be peaceful, may you be free. Then, think of someone difficult, someone who frustrates you, someone you'd rather forget, and try. Try just once. May you be well, may you be peaceful, may you be free. Even if your voice shakes, even if your heart resists, try, because every drop of light makes the world a little less dark. Let me tell you about Venerable Dhammika, a humble monk known for his laughter. One morning, a violent prisoner was brought to the monastery for rehabilitation. No one believed the man could change. But every morning, the monk would sit across from him, never preached, never lectured, just looked him in the eye and said, "May you be well, may you be peaceful, may you be free." At first, the prisoner spit in his direction. By the third week, he stopped. By the fifth, he cried. By the sixth, he bowed, not to the monk, but to the light that had reached him. Loving kindness isn't about changing others. It's about creating the conditions for transformation. You never know who needs your love today. The woman in the house next door who cries in silence. The man on the train whose smile hides grief. The dog abandoned by the roadside. The teenager trying not to fall apart in school. The grandmother sitting alone with her memories. The insect buzzing on your window pane. They all want the same thing: to feel safe, to be seen, to be held, if not by arms, then by prayers. And you can give that. Every morning, before your feet touch the ground, before the headlines scream, before bitterness sets in. You can begin with love. Let me share a memory from my own childhood. My mother had a ritual. Before she cooked, before she swept the floor, before she spoke to us, she'd sit quietly, eyes closed, and whisper, "To all beings, near and far, may your day be gentle, may your hearts be light." I didn't understand then, but now I see. That's why our home always felt sacred, because it was built on love, unconditional, undemanding, unseen, but real. So let me ask you, when you wake tomorrow morning, can you be that light? Can you rise not just for yourself, but for the world? Can you whisper into the early silence, "May all beings be well, may all beings be peaceful, may all beings be free"? Even if you're tired, even if you're hurting, even if you're still healing, especially if you're still healing, because love shared is love multiplied. Closing with soft strength like the sun cresting over the horizon. This morning, you have a choice: to carry the burdens of yesterday or to carry the blessings of compassion, to add noise or to offer peace, to live small or to live in boundless, radiant, unstoppable love. The Buddha's light still shines, not from temples, not from statues, but from the quiet hearts that wake each morning and choose love again. Be that heart. Let your loving kindness rise like the sun and bless all who walk beneath it. There is a kind of silence that is not empty. It's not the silence of absence, it's the silence of presence, a deep, alive, sacred stillness. It's the silence you hear before a temple bell rings, the silence before the sun crests the edge of the earth, the silence of your own breath before your thoughts arrive. In that silence, before the world invades your mind, you can remember something beautiful. You can remember the triple gem. The triple gem is not just a chant. It is not a ritual. It is not just for monks or nuns. It is the refuge for your soul, the anchor in a storm-tossed world. Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. The Supreme Buddha, the fully enlightened one who showed the way. The Dhamma, the truth, the teachings, the path of wisdom and peace. The Sangha, the noble ones who walk this path and guide us with their presence. In the earliest light of morning, when everything is still, the remembrance of these three gems becomes a source of profound strength and healing. Let me tell you about Kalpani, a young girl whose village was destroyed by a flood. She lost everything: her books, her school, her grandmother, even her smile. She was sent to a shelter in another province, where an old monk gave her a simple string of beads. He said, "Each morning, before you speak to anyone, speak to the triple gem." He taught her to chant gently, "Buddham Saranam Gacchami, Dhammam Saranam Gacchami, Sangham Saranam Gacchami." The first time she whispered the words, she cried, not because she understood the meaning, but because the words felt safe. Each morning, she said them again, until her voice was stronger, until her eyes were softer, until her soul began to return home. That is the power of remembering your refuge. The Buddha said, "Those who go to the triple gem for refuge are never lost." And yet, so many of us are lost. We wake with anxiety already tugging at our minds. We check the news before we check our own breath. We step into the day without remembering what it means to be alive, to be aware, to walk this earth with eyes wide open. But what if you started differently? What if, before your feet touched the floor, you sat up in bed, took a slow breath, and said quietly, "To the Buddha, I go for refuge. To the Dhamma, I go for refuge. To the Sangha, I go for refuge." Even if you say it in your own language, even if you whisper it, even if you don't fully understand it, you will feel it. You will feel the sacred silence stir within you. Let me tell you about Mr. Ajit, a businessman who lived in a world of noise. He had everything: cars, phones, appointments, prestige, but he couldn't sleep. He couldn't stop the racing mind, the regrets, the pressure, the fear of losing it all. One day, he visited a monastery out of sheer desperation. There, a serene young monk told him, "When you wake up, don't reach for your phone, reach for your refuge." He taught him this morning ritual: sit quietly, close your eyes, breathe 3 times, long and deep, recite the refuge silently or aloud. Reflect for 1 minute on the qualities of each refuge. The Buddha, complete in wisdom and compassion. The Dhamma, pure, timeless, inviting us to investigate. The Sangha, those who live the truth with joy and courage. Ajit tried it. The first week, nothing happened. The second week, he began sleeping better. By the third week, he said he felt like someone finally turned the noise off. You see, dear one, the world doesn't need more noise. You don't need more opinions. You don't need more stimulation. You need sanctuary. You need an island of peace within the hurricane of life. The triple gem is that island, and the morning is the boat that takes you there. The Buddha once told his disciples, "Even if you have nothing else, if you have taken refuge in the triple gem, you are rich." Because this refuge isn't in buildings. It's not in rituals. It's not locked in a monastery. It is within you, in the silent knowing that no matter what this day brings, you are not alone. You are held. You are guided. You are walking a path that is ancient, noble, and true. Let me share something even deeper. When you contemplate the Buddha, you remember that awakening is possible. You remember that a human being, just like you, once sat under a Bodhi tree, faced every storm of the mind, and emerged enlightened, fearless, free. When you contemplate the Dhamma, you remember that suffering has a cause, that peace has a path, that truth is not blind faith, but lived experience. And when you contemplate the Sangha, you remember that you don't have to do it alone, that others have walked this path, fallen, risen, and kept going, just like you. Tomorrow morning, try this. Even if you're tired, even if you're grieving, even if you're not sure you believe anything anymore, just sit, just breathe. Just say, "Buddham Saranam Gacchami." Say it for the child in you that still aches. Say it for the part of you that still hopes. Say it for the world. Let those sacred syllables be a balm. Let them echo in your bones. Let them guide your steps. Because every day, every morning, you return, not to busyness, not to worry, but to the quiet truth that you belong to something timeless, that you walk a path of light, that your soul remembers its home, and that home is the triple gem. So don't let this morning pass like every other. Don't rise in haste. Rise in remembrance, in reverence, in stillness, in refuge. And know, deep in your being, you are not lost. You are not alone. You are walking with the Buddha, living the Dhamma, surrounded by the Sangha, and that is enough. There's a moment each morning, right after you've opened your eyes, right after your heart has remembered gratitude, after you've forgiven, after you've sent out your loving kindness, after you've sat in the sacred silence with the triple gem, that something else stirs. You feel the gentle rising of the sun, not just on the land outside, but in your chest. You know the moment has come to step outside, to face the world, to meet others. But before you do, there's something precious that must be done. You prepare your heart, you make it strong, soft, ready. You arm yourself, but not with armor, with compassion. Because this world is not easy, but a heart trained in compassion walks through it like water around stone, unharmed, unshaken, undefeated. Let me tell you about Lakshan, a school teacher in the city. Each day, he rides a crowded bus, elbows in his ribs, loud music blaring, strangers arguing. But each morning, before he leaves his home, he stands in front of his tiny altar. He bows once, twice, 3 times, and he whispers, "Today may I be kind, may I speak with care, may I not harm, may I forgive quickly, May I walk with the Buddha in my step. That simple prayer is what holds him up when a student screams, when a parent scolds unfairly, when his own tiredness makes him want to give up. Because a heart trained in compassion does not fall easily. It bends, but it doesn't break. There is no better way to prepare for the day than to prepare your intentions. The Buddha taught, mind is the forerunner of all things. With the mind, we create the world. If you step into the world with a fearful mind, the world will frighten you. If you step into the world with a greedy mind, the world will never be enough. But if you step into the world with a compassionate heart, you will find peace even in chaos, even in traffic, even in a room full of anger, even in grief. So here's a simple morning practice. Before you open the door, before you tie your shoes, before you turn on the phone, sit, just sit. Place your hands on your lap, let your breath fall into your belly, and say silently like a quiet wish, today I will not harm. Today I will try to understand. Today I will protect all life. Today I will act with compassion. Feel those words not just in your mouth, but in your bones, in your blood, in your breath. And when you finally rise, let them rise with you, like a robe you wear, like a light you carry, like a shield made not of steel, but of mercy. Let me tell you the story of Sister Mahishi, a nun who once lived in a village where people mocked her daily. Children threw pebbles, teenagers laughed, some adults whispered cruel things. Every day she walked the same path to the temple. One morning, a fellow devotee asked her, "Why do you walk with your eyes soft?" She smiled and said, "Because I have already forgiven them before I even saw them." That's the secret. Don't wait to forgive until you're hurt. Don't wait to love until someone's kind. Don't wait to act right until others do. Start your day ready. Ready with love, ready with patience, ready to fall and rise again. That is the compassion the Buddha taught, not a feeling, a decision. Because the world will test you. Someone will be rude. Someone will ignore your kindness. Someone will cut in line. Someone will betray your trust. But if your heart was trained that morning, you will not fall into hate. You will not lose your dignity. You will not forget who you are. The Buddha once said, "One moment of compassion is more powerful than 100 moments of anger." You don't need to win every argument. You don't need to be understood all the time. You don't need to protect your ego. You need to protect your heart. And you do that by training it every morning. Let me share one more story. Anura was a driver for a tourist company. He drove long hours, dealt with impatient clients, unfair demands, and little thanks. But each morning, before picking up his passengers, he would touch the dashboard and whisper, "May all who ride with me today be safe. May I drive with care. May my words not wound. May I return home in peace." One day, a woman in tears stepped into his van. She had just lost her father. Said she didn't want to talk. He didn't force a conversation. He just played soft, chanting music, drove smoothly, opened her door gently, and said, "May your father rest in peace. May you find comfort." She cried again, this time not from grief, but relief. Compassion needs no speeches, just presence, just a prepared heart. So tomorrow morning, train yours. Before the emails, before the bills, before the demands, let your first promise of the day be to yourself. No matter what happens today, I will respond with kindness. I will remember the Buddha's teachings. I will remember that everyone is fighting a battle I cannot see. And then step into the world, not as a warrior, but as a healer. Ne'er closing like the last page of a beloved book. You may not be able to stop the storms, but you can be the calm inside them. You may not control the world's noise, but you can protect your sacred silence. You may not change others, but you can train your own heart. And when you do, you will see something amazing. You will see that the world is not as dark as it seemed, because you have become the light. When the sun has set, when the streetlights flicker on and the birds grow silent, when your house quiets and the world begins to slow, you are left with yourself. No more distractions, no more noise, just you and your day, like a mirror in the dark. And in that mirror, you see more than just what happened. You see who you were. The Buddha once said, "As a mirror reflects what is clear, so too should the mind reflect what is true." This is the moment for that reflection. Not to judge, not to punish, but to understand, to sit beside yourself like a kind friend and gently ask, how did I live today? by word, by action, or by thought? Did I help anyone with kindness, with patience, with love? Was I true to my values? Did I forget, even for a moment, who I truly am? These questions aren't meant to shame. They're meant to awaken. Let me tell you the story of Ravindra, a father of two who worked 12-hour shifts at a garment factory. He was often too exhausted to speak with his children, too numb to feel anything but weariness. Until one evening, he came across a small Dhamma booklet in the factory's lunchroom. Inside, it simply said, "At the end of each day, light a candle in your heart. Use it to see where you've grown and where you still need warmth." He started a ritual. Every night, before sleeping, he sat on his bed, placed one hand over his heart, and whispered, "Today I tried. Today I failed in some places, I succeeded in others, but I was alive, and tomorrow I will try again." And slowly something changed, not the world, him, his presence, his awareness, his peace. You see, dear one, each night is not an end. It is a beginning, a rehearsal for tomorrow, and your reflection tonight is the blueprint for your awakening. So tonight, try this. Find a place, sit or lie down gently. Wait, close your eyes, and breathe, slowly, gently, fully. Let your whole day pass before your mind like a film, scene by scene, breath by breath. Ask, where did I speak with kindness? Where did I speak with anger? Where did I act with compassion? Where did I let pride win? Don't run from the answers. Don't justify. Don't excuse. Just see, because seeing clearly is the first step to becoming free. Let me share about Vensobita, an elder monk who always had a smile like sunrise. People would ask him, "Bhante, how are you always so calm?" He would laugh and say, "Because each night I confess to myself, and each morning I forgive myself." That's the secret. Reflection isn't just about what you did wrong. It's about how bravely you tried, how gently you wish to improve, how you still return again and again to the path. If you yelled today, that's okay, see it. If you ignored someone in pain, that's okay, see it. If you judged a stranger, that's okay, see it. And if you held the door open, if you remembered to breathe before reacting, if you chose patience over pride, see that too. Let your reflection be balanced. Not just a list of regrets, but a poem of effort, a meditation on your humanity. The Buddha never asked us to be perfect. He asked us to be awake. And reflection is how we stay awake. It's how we catch the small fires before they burn us. It's how we water the tiny seeds of goodness before they dry out. It's how we gently pull the weeds of envy, greed, anger, pride from the garden of our heart, so that tomorrow we wake lighter, clearer, kinder. Let me tell you about Gaia, a young nurse who worked in a high-pressure emergency ward. She saw suffering daily, lost patients, cried silently in the hospital stairwell. At night, her hands would tremble. One day, a chaplain told her, "You carry too many souls. Before sleep, return them to the stars, and return to yourself." She began a simple practice. At night, she'd light a small lamp in her window, close her eyes, and name those who had passed that day. May you be free. May you be at peace. May your journey be gentle. Then she would place her hand over her heart and whisper, "And may I rest now, without guilt, without weight, so I can rise again to serve tomorrow." And she slept better than she had in years. Reflection is not just for guilt. It is for healing. It is the salve we rub on the soul after a long day of bruises. It is the warm blanket we wrap around our weary hearts. It is the quiet voice that says you are growing, you are learning, you are enough, even if no one saw your kindness, even if no one thanked you, even if no one understood your pain. You see, you think, you understand. So tonight, before you close your eyes, whisper, "Today was imperfect, so am I. But I walked with intention, I will rest, I will rise, and tomorrow I will walk again." That is the vow of the practitioner, not to live flawlessly, but to live consciously, with awareness, with compassion, with humility, with love. And sir, closing like a lullaby, deep and still. And so the day ends. The mirror has spoken, not with judgment, but with honesty. And you who dared to look, you are already ahead of where you were yesterday. Sleep now. Let go. And as your breath softens, know this: the Buddha sees your effort. The Dhamma flows through your days. The Sangha walks beside you in spirit. And your own heart, your beautiful, striving, sacred heart, is becoming more radiant with each night's reflection. Have you ever looked back at a day and realized the moment that truly mattered was not the big one? not the speech, not the ceremony, not the promotion, not the accomplishment, but something smaller? A smile someone gave you when you needed it most. A hand on your shoulder when words couldn't help. A shared silence that felt sacred. A stranger holding the door without asking anything in return. These are the little moments, and they shape a very big life. The Buddha once said, "Drop by drop, the water jar fills." Likewise, the wise one, gathering little by little, fills oneself with good. In other words, the goodness of your life isn't built in great bursts. It's built in drops. Tiny, steady, sincere acts, every kind word, every deep breath before reacting, every time you choose patience over anger, every time you offer help without being asked, every time you let someone merge into traffic without resentment. Yes, even that. Let me tell you about Tilaka, an elderly woman who lived alone in a quiet village. She wasn't rich, she wasn't famous, she wasn't even well educated. But every morning, she swept the temple grounds. She didn't do it for praise. She did it because she said, "This is my way to bow to the Buddha with my hands." She would pick up fallen leaves, straighten slippers at the temple's entrance, refill the little bowl of water near the shrine. No one noticed, except one little boy named Nuwan. One day he asked, "Auntie, why do you clean when no one is watching?" She smiled and said, "Because the Buddha is always watching, but more than that, my heart is watching." Nuwan never forgot that. And when she passed away years later, he took her broom in his hand and kept sweeping. That's how legacies are built. Not in marble, but in moments. You see, dear listener, you don't have to do grand things to live a meaningful life. You don't have to change the whole world. Just your corner of it, your kitchen, your hallway, your street, your workplace, your attitude. Change that with kindness, and the world will feel it. The Buddha taught, "Speak only what is true and beneficial. If it is neither, remain silent." Do you know what that means? Even a word can be a sacred act. So when you say thank you with sincerity, you are practicing Dhamma. When you listen without interrupting, you are practicing Dhamma. When you hold back harsh words, you are practicing Dhamma. When you choose silence over gossip, you are practicing Dhamma. The temple isn't only in your town, it's in your mouth, in your ears, in your hands. Let me tell you about Asela, a young man who rode his bicycle every morning past the same busy street corner. There was a blind man there who sold incense sticks. Most people walked past. One day, Asela stopped. He didn't say anything at first. He just held the man's hand and asked softly, "May I sit beside you today?" The man nodded. They sat for an hour in silence. Every day after that, Asela would stop by, sometimes with tea, sometimes with food, sometimes with nothing but time. One morning, the blind man asked, "Why do you come?" Asela replied, "Because no one should feel forgotten. And you remind me to see the world with my heart." That's what the little moments do. They remind us, they reconnect us, they resurrect our humanity. We live in a world obsessed with big things, big success, big money, big platforms, big voices. But the Dhamma is subtle. It flows like water over stone. It whispers where the world shouts. It is in the little things. The smile you give your mother in the morning, the pause before you complain, the bow you offer the Buddha statue, even if no one is watching. The way you close a door gently, the way you breathe before answering a child's question, the way you sit in stillness for 5 minutes when the world demands you rush. That's Dhamma, that's wisdom, that's love. Let me share something I read long ago. A monk once asked his teacher, "How do I practice mindfulness all day long?" The teacher replied, "When you pour water, pour fully. When you walk, walk gently. When you speak, speak honestly. When you bow, bow completely." That is mindfulness. It's not a technique, it's a presence. It's not about doing new things, it's about doing everything differently, with awareness, with care, with intention. So tonight, or tomorrow morning, when you brush your teeth, do it mindfully. When you greet someone, look into their eyes. When you prepare your meal, bless it with gratitude. When you wash your hands, feel the water. When you say goodbye, say it like it could be your last. Because one day, it will be. And on that day, what will matter most? Not how much you earned, not how many followers you had, but how many little moments you lived with love. Narrator voice settling into the heart like evening light through temple windows. The Buddha didn't ask us to become saints overnight. He asked us to begin, to try. to notice, to care, and every small act of goodness is a seed. You may not see it bloom, but someone will, and that's enough. That's more than enough. So here's your practice. Live today like it's made of sacred grains of rice. Each moment precious, each word a blessing, each breath a gift. And when you go to bed tonight, you'll feel it. The quiet joy of knowing you live today well, not because of one big thing, but because of 100 small things. Done with love. There comes a time in every day when the mind begins to remember. Sometimes it's sweet, a child's laughter, the smell of warm food, a kind word from a stranger. But sometimes it's heavy, a mistake you made, a fight you regret, a memory that hurts to hold, and that's when we face a choice. Do we carry this weight into tomorrow, or do we gently? The Buddha taught, just as a snake sheds its skin, so must we shed the past again and again. Because peace does not come from holding on, it comes from releasing, and not once, but daily. Each morning is not just a new day, it's a new chance, a clean slate, but you can't write on a slate that's still full of yesterday's marks. You have to wipe it clean, with awareness, with forgiveness, with courage. Let me tell you about Ruwan, a man who carried guilt like a shadow. Years ago, in his anger, he said something to his mother that he could never take back. She forgave him, but he didn't. Every morning, he would wake with it, that single moment, playing like a sad song on repeat, until one day a monk asked him, "Do you want to carry this for 10 more years?" He shook his head. The monk smiled gently. "Then why not put it down today?" "But I can't," Ruwan whispered. "It happened. I hurt her." The monk said, "Yes, you did, but holding on doesn't make her feel better. It only makes you feel worse. Letting go is not pretending it didn't happen. It's allowing yourself to grow beyond it." That night, Ruwan lit a single candle. He bowed to his mother's photo and said for the first time with his whole heart, "I'm sorry, I'm learning, and I'm letting this go." He cried, not because of pain, but because of release. You see, dear one, your mind is like a bag, and every day you put things in it. A word someone said, a look someone gave, a wound you barely noticed. But if you never empty the bag, eventually it breaks. And you break with it, so each night, each dawn, empty it. Ask yourself, what am I carrying that no longer serves me? What weight is not mine to hold? What story am I replaying that is keeping me small? Let them go. Let them float like leaves down a river. Let them dissolve like mist under morning light. Let them be, and be free. Let me tell you about Amma Kumari, an old widow in a small hill village. She lost her son to an accident. He was only 17. For years, she lit incense in front of his photo. But her heart never healed. Until one morning during meditation, she heard the words, "Nothing is truly yours, not even your pain." She didn't understand, so she went to her teacher, and he said, "Even grief, if clung to too tightly, becomes poison. Your son's love is with you, but his body is gone. Let the love stay. Let the clinging go." She wept for 3 days, and then she planted a tree where his ashes were scattered. Now every morning she waters it and says, "Grow in peace, my son, and let me grow too." That's letting go, not forgetting, but unbinding. The Buddha compared the mind to a lotus pond. If it's clogged with mud, with dead leaves, with broken branches, the lotus cannot bloom. But if we clean the pond each day, even just a little, we give the lotus room to rise. Your heart is that lotus. And the mud? It's your old regrets, your unspoken anger, your shame, your should-haves and what-ifs. Let them go, today, now. Let me give you a simple practice. Each night before bed, or each morning before sunrise, sit quietly, breathe deeply, and ask yourself, is there anything I'm still holding? And if something arises, name it, feel it, and then whisper, I see you, I thank you, and I now release you. Do this for old arguments, for past lovers, for missed chances, for painful memories, even for expectations you've placed on yourself. Let them go, because only with empty hands can you receive tomorrow's blessings. Let me tell you about Nisha, a young woman who worked tirelessly to earn her degree. But one exam, she failed, and though she passed the next, the shame of that one failure followed her like a shadow. She stopped smiling, stopped dreaming, until one day her grandmother told her, "Do you think that failure defines you?" Nisha said yes. The grandmother held her hand and said, "Then hold this too." She gave her a rock, heavy, ugly, and said, "Carry this with you for the next 7 days." Nisha did, and after a week her back ached, her fingers hurt. She returned the rock. Her grandmother asked, "How did you said?" "Heavy, pointless, exhausting." Her grandmother smiled. That's what clinging to failure does. Let it go. Dear listener, you are not your mistakes. You are not your past. You are not the worst thing you've done. You are not the worst thing someone did to you. You are a soul still blooming, a light still flickering, a being still walking. And to walk farther, you must travel lighter. So tonight or tomorrow, forgive yourself, forgive others, let go of what holds you down, and rise. Voice low and comforting, like a lullaby. There's a peace that doesn't come from winning. It comes from releasing the fight. There's a joy that doesn't come from gaining, it comes from letting go. And there's a freedom that doesn't come from control. It comes from surrender. This moment is your chance to exhale, to ungrip, to trust that what's for you will never miss you, and what's not was never yours to hold. Every morning we rise, we begin again, and perhaps we do not realize it, but each time the light enters our room and the world invites us to open our eyes, we are being asked, will you bring light with you? We are not here to merely wake up. We are here to awaken, not just from sleep, but from ignorance, from habit, from fear, from forgetting who we truly are. This is the final teaching, the moment when morning is no longer just a time of day, but a way of living. The Buddha once said, "Better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace." And in the same way, better than 1,000 rushed mornings is one awakened morning, one where you realize you are not just waking in the world, you are waking for the world. Let me tell you about Bhikkhu Sanjaya, a young monk who once asked his teacher, "Bhante, what is the purpose of waking early?" The elder replied, "Not to chase time, not to prove discipline, but to greet the world with a calm mind, so that you may become the calm others meet." And that's what awakening is, not just opening your eyes, but opening your heart, opening your compassion, opening your vow to live not just for yourself, but for others, to be the morning in someone else's dark night. Because there will always be people who wake up in sadness, who wake up in fear, in hunger, in doubt, in loneliness. And maybe they don't see the sun the way you do. But if you live with presence, with love, with kindness, you become the sun for them. You become what they could not find in the sky. You become light. That is the awakened life. Let me tell you a story about Danushka, a bus conductor who had very little. He earned just enough for rent and rice, but every morning, before his shift, he did something strange. He'd walk to the local orphanage and leave 2 bananas at the doorstep. Not with a note, not for praise. When asked why, he said, "Because one morning I was that child, and someone left something for me. I don't know who they were, but they were the morning I needed." Years later, when he passed away, the orphanage boys, now grown, carried his coffin, and one said, "He was our sunrise, every day." You see, the awakened person does not need an audience. They just need a heart that listens. They do not live to impress. They live to bless, with small things, a kind word, a gentle silence, a humble act. They are like the early light, subtle, patient, transformative. The Buddha once said, just as the dawn is the forerunner of the sun, so too is mindfulness the forerunner of wisdom. And we now know, mindfulness is not just watching your breath. It is watching your life, watching your intention before you speak, watching your ego before you act, watching your compassion before it hardens. This is the awakening that changes everything, not just for you, but for all beings. So, dear listener, this morning, as you stand before the mirror or look out your window, ask not, what do I need from today? But rather, what can I offer today? Ask, whose burden can I quietly ease? Whose spirit can I silently lift? Whose anger can I soften just by not reacting? Whose fear can I meet with calm? You may not know the names, but the world is full of hearts waiting for you. Hearts that don't even know you exist, but who will feel the ripples of your goodness. That's awakening. Let me share about Mala, a young mother who woke up at 4:30 every day, not just to prepare breakfast or get the kids to school, but to sit, just for 10 minutes, in silence, to say every morning, may I not forget myself today. May I remember to love without burning out. May I speak gently even when I am tired. May I remember that this moment is enough. Her day didn't get easier, but her heart got deeper. And one evening, her son asked her, "Amma, how do you stay so peaceful?" She smiled and said, "Because I wake up twice, once from sleep and once into love." Dear one, today is your chance to do the same, to rise not just from your bed, but into your purpose. To see the morning not just as a routine, but as a reminder. You are alive. You are breathing. You are still being given the chance to start again and again and again. Quiet and full of grace, as the light touches everything softly. Let this be your vow, that I will live today, not rushing, not proving, but offering. That I will live this morning as if it were my last, not in fear, but in sacredness. That I will become a little more of what the world needs: peace, kindness, light, truth, compassion. That I will not just wait for morning, I will become it.